There's over 200 countries in our world. I'm sure you've heard of all of the larger ones, at least once. But there are some tiny countries, with just a few people living in them. I'm sure you've never heard of before. These countries may not be big, but they are fascinating, confusing, and at times scary. In fact, I'll bet you probably don't know most of the examples coming up, so let's look at the top 10 smallest countries in the world. Number 10. Principality of Hutt River. Australia is a huge country. But did you know that within this colossal, landlocked territory lies a micronation that fights back to maintain its self-proclaimed sovereignty? I'm referring to the Principality of Hutt River, which is only 75 kilometers squared big. Found somewhere in the region of Western Australia. It was created around the 1970s by 5 families headed by Leonard Cosley. He declared himself as His Royal Highness Prince Leonard of Hutt, using the British Treason Act of 1495 as a ticket. They did this as a result of opposition to the Australian government after a scuffle over wheat quotas ensued. It has its own currency stamps and passports. Back then, Australia and the Principality had a heated disagreement, but have since made peace. Did it endure? Not exactly. Recently, the micronation was slammed by the Australian Tax Office, with income taxes amounting to more than $3 million. They lost even after an appeal. So they plan to move the case to the High Court. With this, the gloves are off once again. Number 9. Niue. Niue is a tiny island in Oceania. It looks amazing, like a tropical paradise. But despite this, because it's so small, there's barely any tourism. The country depends heavily on foreign aid from New Zealand. Its capital city has less than 600 people, but the country has its own airport and supermarket. That's right, just one supermarket for the entire country. The population of Niue is around 1190 people, despite being so small. This country is action-packed. You can get around pretty much everywhere on a motorbike and all around the island. You can watch humpback whales nurse their calves tropical. Diving is also very popular in the country. And it's even the world's first free Wi-Fi nation. This means there's free wireless internet all over the island. Wherever you go, I might just have to take a trip to this place. Sadly though, the country is in decline. Most of the younger people leave and emigrate to New Zealand in hopes of better job opportunities. Number 8. San Marino. San Marino is one of the most popular cities within Italy. Are you aware, though, that it isn't actually part of that country? With a land area of 61 kilometers squared, it's an enchanting city-state and considered one of the smallest countries ever. San Marino is believed to be the world's oldest surviving republic, being founded way back in 301 AD. Even its size doesn't stop it from becoming a prominent nation, which is further recognized by many after it joined the United Nations in 1992. As far as its economy goes, it gets the majority of its wealth from tourism, drawing in over 3 million visitors annually. Speaking of tourism, what can you see here? The whole territory itself is the attraction, so much so that it had been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2008. From the narrow streets, rustic squares, and magnificent churches, it brings you back in time. But the highlight of it all is climbing the first tower, which gives you a breathtaking panoramic view of the Adriatic Sea and the Apennines Mountains. Number 7. Tuvalu. Another small country in the Pacific is Tuvalu, which was formerly known as the Ellis Islands. It's composed of 9 small coral islands, making up 26 kilometers squared of its total land area. After it gained independence in 1978, it strived to become a self-sufficient nation. Most grown plants are limited to coconut palms, breadfruit trees, pandanus, taro, and bananas due to its soil's porous nature. Other sources of food include pigs, chickens, and seafood, to name a few. Other than that, it heavily relies on trade partnerships with other places like Australia, New Zealand, and Hawaii. As far as scenery, it has a lot to offer. Its reefs and gorgeous lagoons make it a great place to snorkel and spot various marine life. The native culture is very much alive in Tuvalu, as is seen in people who display traditional dances, as well as locals who showcase basket weaving and wood carving. If that appeals to you, you might want to visit it soon, as it may be in danger of disappearing due to rising sea levels. Number 6. Nauru. Somewhere northwest of Tuvalu, you can find the country of Nauru. Like as the former, this 21 kilometer squared territory is on top of a raised coral island. There are plenty things that Tuvalu and Nauru have in common. For example, both have porous lands, making the practice of agriculture very limited. But if there's something that sets Nauru apart, it's the fact that it's a favored stopover for migratory birds. With this, bird droppings are widespread, bringing the country its main source of income. Phosphate. Mining this substance has made Nauru rich since 1907. Unfortunately, that wealthy streak has come to a screeching halt. Those long years of mining phosphate has made over 70% of the land destroyed and uninhabitable. Forestry in Nauru was stripped away, and in its place, you could find piles of trash that the country could not afford to remove. Since the demand for the mineral ended, it resulted in an unemployment rate of 90%. Now that's a riches to rags story. Number 5. Principality of Saborga. Let's fly back to Italy, where another micronation is, and known as the Principality of Saborga. With a land area of just around 14 kilometers squared, this self-proclaimed principality is a small town somewhere in Italy's northwest region near the French border. It was sometime in 1963 that the locals within the area were convinced that they were a different territory from Italy and announced Giorgio Carbone as the head of state. He was then crowned as Giorgio I, Prince of Saborga. The weird thing, however, is that it still pays taxes to Italy and votes in local and national Italian elections. Perplexing, right? With a very confusing history, do you think people would want to rule this land? Possibly yes. Currently, the ruler Marcello Menegatto, who holds the title of His Tremendousness Marcello I, is challenged by Nicholas Mute, who calls himself His Serene Highness Nicholas I. Mute has laid out a 5-year plan, claiming that he can do a better job than the current monarch. The battle is so intense that opposing websites were even created. Number 4. Monaco. Don't you just hate paying taxes sometimes? If so, you're going to love Monaco. The 2 squared micronation is such a moving forward country that it doesn't charge income tax. That's part of the reason property here would cost you over $45,000 per square meter. It's an glorious place that hosts towering hotels and luxurious establishments, listing the Casino de Monte Carlo as one of the world-famous attractions that attract the rich and influential. Monaco is also known for hosting the annual Formula One Grand Prix since it started in May 1929. Aside from visiting the legendary casino, there's a lot that can be done in Monaco. Marine life lovers would be astounded by the renowned Musée Océanographique de Monaco, which showcases over 450 Mediterranean and tropical species. The La Roche provides a whimsical glimpse into its past, as it retains original features of the old town while giving a panoramic view of the sea. You'll also get to see the magnificent Palace Princier de Monaco within La Roche. It's truly a life of opulence when you get here. Number 3. The Vatican. The Vatican, although officially Vatican City, this city-state is actually its own country as well. However, the Holy See, or the See of Rome, has full ownership, exclusive dominion and sovereign authority and jurisdiction. Still, it is a country in itself, and since it is just 110 acres, it is considered the smallest country in the world. It is less than 1/8 of the size of Central Park. Since the Holy See have control over much of the country, the Pope is the sovereign of the state. What's funny is that since Vatican City is an enclave within Italy, it is defended by the Italian military, so there is no written agreement that this should be so because the country is considered neutral. The city is too small to hold embassies, and over 70% of the citizens are the clergy. Because of this, out of about 600 citizens in the country, only about 30 of them are female. You think this small country had nothing to show, but St. Peter's Basilica and the Sistine Chapel, some of Italy's greatest works of art, are located in the Vatican. Number 2. Republic of Molossia. The Vatican may have been popularly known as the smallest country in the world, but guess what? There are still others that are smaller. Let me introduce you to the Republic of Molossia. It is a micronation somewhere in Nevada with a land area of just 0.00518 kilometers squared. With its self-declared sovereignty, it doesn't pay any taxes to the US government and even has its own currency printed on no less than poker chips. This small territory is ruled by the president, His Excellency Kevin Baugh, and inhabits the area along with 21 human citizens and 6 canines. With such a small population in an equally small region, Baugh has all the liberty to enact whatever law he wants. For funny reasons, spinach, tobacco, and catfish are not allowed inside Molossia. Cookie dough is declared its national food. There are 25 holidays in a year, and one of them is in honor of the former first dog. It all sounds crazy, but it's true. Number 1. The Principality of Sealand. The Principality of Sealand is one of the world's smallest countries. It covers just 0.004 square kilometers and with a population of 27 people. It's pretty tiny. Amazingly though, it's still not the smallest country on this list. Sealand sits in a concrete and steel construction in the North Sea. If you swim 6 miles off the coast of Suffolk, England, you can actually find this country. The country was founded by Roy Bates. His title is His Royal Highness Prince Roy of Sealand. He lives in Sealand with his family members and some friends. Sealand even has its own national anthem and its own motto Imur Libertas, which is Latin for from the sea freedom. If you make a donation to this country, you can get an official noble title. Which country surprised you the most? Are you planning to visit one of them anytime soon? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.